Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings for Monday, December the 12th. We do have a decent sized Monday slate, 7-gamer tonight, so, as always guys, we're going to talk through each one of these 7 games. I'm going to give you guys my quick early thoughts on the slate, what I do like taking a first look on Sunday night. Before we do get started with the breakdown though, as always, if you guys do enjoy these DFS videos, if they help you out, please hit that like button down below. I do always appreciate the likes. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys have not checked out the sponsor of the video, check out PrizePicks. They are the sponsor. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks and use my promo code Noah. You look at the bottom of the screen. When you do sign up for PrizePicks with my promo code, you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. And for those of you that have not heard of PrizePicks, you don't know what they are. They're basically a player prop based DFS site, so really simple and easy to use. You're just taking more or less on a player's projection. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to a 6-pick entry, and you can win up to 25x your money on PrizePicks. You can also mix and match sports. PrizePicks does offer a ton of other sports outside of just NBA, but you can see they already have some props up for Monday's games. Obviously, as we get closer to the start of the games on Monday night, you'll see a ton of props available for pretty much every game. Almost, pretty much every starter will be on the board, and you can see if there's any props that stand out to you. Again, you're just taking more or less. Simple as that. You have to make 2 picks or make up to 6 picks. You can win up to 25x your money on PrizePicks. You guys definitely need to be playing over there. If you're not yet, sign up with that promo code Noah, and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. But let's go ahead and talk through this little 7-game slate for Monday night. We're going to start off with the first game of the night, the Nets and the Wizards. So talking about the Nets today, start off with them. You got KD coming in at 11K. You got Kyrie coming in at 8,700. KD at 11K. I don't really like KD at this price tag. He's just not been a guy that I've played much at all this season. It's just hard to prioritize KD with Kyrie healthy when he's this price tag. I think KD should be like 10K more times than not. I think 11K is just a little bit too expensive. And there's definitely other guys I think I'd rather pay up for on this slate. So probably not going to go to Kevin Durant here. I think the matchup's fine. I think he can have a good game here. He crushed against Washington. He had 55 Draftkings points against Washington earlier this year. But 55 DK points at 11K, that really isn't even that good, honestly. And that's not a score that's going to help you win a GPP. So the price tag on KD just doesn't really make him stand out. I think Kyrie at 8,700 looks a little bit more appealing. If I was going to play one of the Brooklyn guys, I think Kyrie would be the guy I'd go to. I think this is a fine spot for Kyrie. He's been playing a lot better lately. His production's been way better as of late. His minutes have been very good as well. He was a little rusty when he first came back from suspension, but that rust seems to be gone now. I mean, Kyrie's been playing almost 40 minutes a night. He's been taking a ton of shots. His usage has been really strong. So I think at 8,700, he's definitely someone I am interested in for today. But the rest of Brooklyn, so Ben Simmons was on a minutes limit last game. He played 21 minutes. He was really productive in that time frame, but we don't really have any update yet on Simmons, what kind of minutes limit he's going to be on today, if he is going to be on one. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. I think if Ben Simmons is not limited, he's a playable option, I think his minutes would be strong without Nicholas Claxton. And they did start Simmons at center last game, so I assume they're going to start Simmons at center again. And he should definitely be productive playing all of his minutes at center. So he's viable. It's just we're going to have to wait and see if there's a minutes limit on him. Obviously, if he's going to be limited again, can't really go there. Claxton's questionable, so this will be something to monitor. I assume, again, if Claxton were to play or were to miss, we would see Simmons start at center. If Claxton winds up playing, he'll probably start, get 25, close to 30 minutes. I think it's 6,400, especially with Simmons back. I'm not that interested in Claxton if he does wind up playing today. Then you have Royce O'Neal out. So with Royce O'Neal out, I don't think this really changes too much at all. Because I assume their starting lineup will be, KD, Kyrie, Simmons, Claxton if he plays, and then the fifth starter will probably be Joe Harris. And I don't think Joe Harris is going to be someone I really target on this slate. So I don't think there's going to be much value coming from Brooklyn, but Royce O'Neal does play a lot of minutes, so you'll probably see a few more minutes for Joe Harris. Maybe Utah Watanabe gets a few more minutes. Maybe TJ Warren, Seth Curry gets a few more minutes, but none of these guys I don't think are really going to be DFS viable. So that's pretty much it for Brooklyn. Now on the Washington side, Washington, they've been pretty shorthanded lately. They've been running a tight rotation. Bradley Beal, he got injured a week ago, and they said he was gonna be reevaluated in a week. So we don't really have an official update yet on Beal. I don't think he's gonna play today. He's listed as questionable. I don't think the Wizards have put out their injury report yet. I assume Beal's probably gonna remain out. I doubt he would be ready to play just yet. So I'm expecting Beal to be out once again. So without Beal, again, we can expect big roles for Kuzma, for Porzingis. Porzingis has been playing really well lately, been playing huge minutes as well. 9,500, this feels like a lot to pay for Porzingis, but with how good his role is right now, like I think he is viable here. And Brooklyn has historically been a relatively bad rebounding team. They've never been the best team defensively against centers. Porzingis put up 58 DraftKings points against Brooklyn last time they played. So I'm kind of interested in Porzingis. I think Kuzma, even at 8,500, kind of looks appealing. I mean, Kuzma's been playing so well this season. He's also been playing huge minutes. He's been taking on a big usage role. 27 shots last game, put up 58 DraftKings points. I don't hate Kuzma at 8,500 just because right now without Beal, him and Porzingis are really just doing all the heavy lifting. And then we will need to keep an eye on the status of Monte Morris. So Monte Morris is listed as questionable. This is pretty important because with Monte Morris out the last 2 games, we have seen them start Jordan Goodwin at point guard. And Jordan Goodwin has been really productive in the 2 games he has started. He's played 34 and 38 minutes, and he's put up 39 and 43 DraftKings points. He would be a really good value at 4,600 if Monte Morris is out again and Goodwin winds up starting. So that's going to be someone worth targeting if Morris is out. If Morris plays, I'm not super interested in him. And then Denny Avdia should continue to play huge minutes, 39, 40, 39 minutes the last few games. His price tag is still cheap on DraftKings. I don't know why DraftKings hasn't bumped his price up yet. Assuming Beal remains out, I think Denny Avdia is still a really good value. And even Corey Kispert, he played a ton last game. He played 43 minutes. He wasn't very productive at all, but he's going to play a lot of minutes, assuming Beal sits too. So, we can expect most of the starters to play pretty big minutes here. And I think, almost all the starters look appealing. Assuming no Beal, I think Porzingis and Kuzma look solid. I definitely have interest in Denny Avdia. If Goodwin starts, I think he's a good value. I think Kispert's a viable, cheap option. Probably not going to go to anyone on the bench, though. Maybe you could take a shot on Will Barton. He's been out the last few games, but he's expected back today. He should have a decent role, especially if Monte Morris and Beal are out. But he's just nothing more than like a dart throw today. So that's it for this game. Let's move on to the next one, Miami and Indiana. So starting off with Miami, we got to keep an eye on Jimmy Butler's status, but I think he's probable. Him and Hero are both probable, so I would assume they're going to play today. Miami should have most of their guys in. I don't think really anyone's in danger of sitting here. So with Miami pretty much fully healthy, it's not a team that I love targeting when they're fully healthy, but this is a pretty favorable matchup. The Pacers do play at a fast pace. They're not the best defensive team either. So I don't mind, getting some exposure to Jimmy, to Bam, maybe Hero. I would say Hero and Lowry are probably my least favorites. If I was going to play anyone on Miami, it would definitely be, Butler or Bam. Butler at 8,600 still has upside to pay off this price tag, especially in a good matchup. It's always tough to predict when you're going to get that big game from Jimmy Butler, but, against a pretty bad Pacers defense that plays fast, I think this is a solid spot for him. And I think Bam should do pretty well here. We've seen centers have pretty good games against Indiana this season. I think Bam's okay. I don't love much on Miami, but those 2 guys are viable. On the Indiana side, though, really tough matchup here going up against Miami, so I don't love the spot for many of these Pacers guys. Halliburton is always a viable GPP option, but this is definitely a tougher matchup. Miles Turner is always a viable option, but this is a tougher matchup as well. His price tag has come down a little bit, so because he is only 6,600, I could see going to Miles Turner today, but man, centers have just not been able to have much success against Miami this year. They've been one of the toughest matchups for centers. So, don't love the spot for Miles Turner. Buddy Hield, the Heat do give up a lot of 3-point attempts, and that's where Buddy Hield does a lot of his damage. And I think last time they played Miami, Buddy Hield had 40 DraftKings points last time they played Miami. So given how this matchup sets up, I think it's actually an okay spot for Buddy Hield. But on a 7-game slate, I doubt he's going to be someone that I really prioritize. But if I was playing a lot of lineups, I think I would have some exposure to Hield. But I really think that's it for this game. There's not a ton that I love here, to be honest with you. I think we can go ahead and move on to the next game. So Atlanta and Memphis, one we're going to have to definitely spend some time on. So starting off with Memphis, Ja Morant listed as questionable for today. This is going to be some big news to keep an eye on. We already know, if Ja Morant's out, who's going to benefit here? It's going to be Dillon Brooks who's going to benefit. It's going to be Tyus Jones who's going to benefit. Both of those guys would look like really good plays. Also, Steven Adams is questionable, and Steven Adams was questionable last game. He wound up playing. I'm assuming he plays today, but if he were to get ruled out, we probably would see Brandon Clark start at center. And if Steven Adams is out, I think Clark is going to be a really good value. So, if Morant and Adams are both out, there's going to be a lot to like on Memphis. Now, if Morant and Adams play, I think Morant in tournaments is always someone we can look to. I would definitely say he's one of the stronger pay-up options today. I don't know if he'd be my favorite guy to go to, but I never have an issue paying up for Ja. Triple J and Brooks, I'm not super interested in unless Ja gets ruled out. Same goes with the rest of Memphis. So Most of my interest in Memphis is just coming with Ja, but if Ja winds up sitting today, that definitely changes a lot. That makes, Triple J a little bit more appealing, definitely makes Dylan Brooks more appealing, makes Tyus Jones a really good play. And obviously, Steven Adams gets ruled out. We could look to Brandon Clark as well. Now on the Atlanta side, still no DeJounte Murray for Atlanta, so they're going to be shorthanded. They're going to have to rely on Trae Young to do all the heavy lifting. Last 2 games without DeJounte Murray, massive minutes for Trae, 37 and 42 minutes. He was really bad on Sunday night against Chicago, but I would expect him to bounce back here. I mean, he did still have 14 assists. I know his usage rate has been sky high lately. He's going to play huge minutes. He's going to take a ton of shots. He's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. At 10,400, I still think Trae Young looks like a really good pay-up option today. He might be my favorite pay-up option on the slate right now. And then the rest of Atlanta, Clint Capella, don't love him in the spot against Steven Adams if Adams plays. I think if Adams gets ruled out, it becomes a little bit of a better matchup for Capella, but he just feels like an okay play at 6,500. But I do want to talk about some of the value here. So, you do have some value on Atlanta. I mean, outside of Trae and Capella, no one else is more than 5K. So you have Bogdan Bogdanovic at 4,800. I assume Bogdan is going to be probably one of the most popular plays on the slate. But man, he's just too cheap for what his role is right now. I mean, he kind of struggled to start the season, his first few games, coming back from his injury. But the last 2 games, he seems to be fully healthy. He's found his stroke. He's been playing well. 34 and 36 minutes. He shot 12 for 18 against Brooklyn. On Sunday night against Chicago, he shot 10 for 22. They said he was going to be on a minutes limit, like moving forward. They were going to keep him on a minutes limit for a few games, but he played 34 and 36 minutes the last 2 games, so I'm guessing that minutes limit is just gone. I think Bogdan's going to continue to play huge minutes. They need his offense right now without DeJounte Murray. So 4,800, way too cheap for Bogdan. I think he's a really good value today. AJ Griffin's been playing pretty good minutes as a starter. Assuming DeAndre Hunter remains out, I think we could look to AJ Griffin. DeAndre Hunter's been playing, but I think AJ Griffin still started on Sunday. I think they moved Jalen Johnson to the bench. So I think their starting lineup, I don't pay attention to NBA a ton on Sundays because I'm so focused on NFL. But I think their starting lineup Sunday was Trae. It was Trae, AJ Griffin, Hunter, Capella, and then I think they started Trent Forrest. They did start Aaron Holiday the first game without DeJounte, but it looks like he went back to the bench. So yeah, I think AJ Griffin's going to be in the starting lineup regardless. Even with Hunter back. So AJ Griffin at 4,700, like an okay value. He played 40 minutes on Sunday. Don't hate going there. DeAndre Hunter, I mean, he's never been the best per minute producer, but he's cheap. He should have to play minutes here without DeJounte, and they're going to need him to provide some offense. So, I don't hate him as a value play. But that's probably it for Atlanta. And again, I know Trent Forrest started on Sunday. He wasn't super productive. He only put up 17 DK points, but he did play 34 minutes. So, I guess if Trent Forrest starts again, he's going to be someone we can consider for value. I mean, he's only 3,100. He's almost, he's close to the minimum salary. Again, I don't think he's like the best per minute producer, but he's cheap and he's going to play a good amount of minutes, I'd assume, if he starts again. So he's someone worth keeping an eye on. There's definitely a lot to like on Atlanta, though. I think Trae and Bogdan looked like the clear best plays here. But let's go ahead and move on to the next game, OKC and Dallas. So for OKC today, I don't love a ton on OKC today outside of SGA, and I think in this matchup against a pretty good Mavs defense that has really good defenders, I don't love this matchup for SGA. I think on this slate, I'd rather go to Ja if he plays. I'd rather go to Trae Young as well. SGA has been matchup-proof this season. He's been able to crush in almost any matchup, but this just doesn't feel like the best spot for SGA here. So I'm not super in love with him. The rest of OKC, I'm fine avoiding on the slate. And then on Dallas, I think Luka's the guy that we can look to on Dallas, but I don't love much outside of Luka. Luka's 12-7. He's going to be really hard to prioritize right now. We'll have to wait and see what kind of value opens up as the day goes on, if any value opens up. If we get a lot of value, I'm always fine paying up for Luka, but if I had to build my lineup right now, I don't think I'd be prioritizing Luka today just because this 12-7 price tag, it is going to be tough to get to on a slate like this that doesn't have a ton of standout value right now, but obviously that could all change. The only other guy that I'll mention on Dallas is Christian Wood, and that's just because the matchup is so good against OKC. OKC's been so bad defensively against centers this season. Obviously, Wood did pretty well last game without Luka. Would expect his per minute production to not be as strong with Luka back, but the matchup is so good that this could definitely be one of those spots where Wood is able to put up 40 Draftkings points in 25 minutes or something. So just due to the matchup, I think Christian Wood's a viable option. But there's not a ton to love in this game outside of the stars. I think Luka, SGA, and then maybe Wood for the matchup. It's probably it though from this game. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one, Cleveland and San Antonio. So for Cleveland today, got to keep an eye on the status of Donovan Mitchell, who has been out the last 2 games. He's questionable for this one. Without Donovan Mitchell the last 2 games, really the biggest beneficiaries have been Darius Garland and Karis LeVert. And really, Karis LeVert's been the guy that's been doing a lot. And he's 5K today. So I think if Donovan Mitchell does not play again, we can expect Karis LeVert to be a really good value, really chalky play. Last 2 games without Mitchell, he's played 37 and 38 minutes. He's been super productive. He's been taking a ton of shots. He's just looked more productive overall. Surprisingly, Darius Garland has not played that well the last 2 games without Mitchell, but I think we can expect a good game from Garland at some point, and this is obviously a very good matchup. The Spurs are probably like the worst defensive team in the league, and they also play at a fast pace, so both Garland and Mitchell are going to look like both Garland and LeVert are going to look like really good plays today if Mitchell remains out. If Mitchell plays, I don't love much on Cleveland outside of maybe you could go to Mitchell. I will say that it's a pretty good spot for like the bigs for Mobley and Allen. 7K for Jared Allen, I can get behind. Like I think his role is going to be pretty much the same no matter if Mitchell's in or out. We know when Jared Allen has good games, it's usually because he gets a lot of putbacks, a lot of rebounds, he blocks some shots. He can still do that even with Mitchell playing. So I think it's 7K, especially in a good matchup. I'm fine with Jared Allen today, but obviously the Donovan Mitchell news is what is really important here. And then on the San Antonio side, I just don't love this spot for San Antonio. Tough matchup against Cleveland. Cleveland's a really good defensive team. Don't see myself rostering many Spurs on this slate. Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell both feel priced correctly for this matchup. Trey Jones feels priced correctly as well. Jakob Poeltl's still out. Zach Collins is going to start, probably play like 25, 30 minutes, but it's definitely a tough matchup against a good Cleveland front court and a good Cleveland defensive team. So I don't love the spot for Zach Collins. It's just, yeah, man, San Antonio's probably a team I honestly might be full fading today. I just don't really see much on the Spurs I'm liking. So let's move on to the next game. We got 2 more to go over. So Minnesota and Portland. I think we did just see these teams play on Saturday. Starting off with the Portland side, you got Damian Lillard coming in at 10,200. Normally Dame is not a guy that I prioritize paying up for, but Dame has been really good lately. He's started to look like his old self. Last 2 games, 72, 54 Draftkings points. He did play 41 minutes last game against Minnesota. I think that was in regulation too, so he's been playing huge minutes as of late. He's been taking a lot of shots. He's been aggressive offensively. I'm fine with Dame on this slate, but I think I'd rather go to like Trae Young and probably Ja Morant as well if he plays. Even if I could get to Luka, would rather go to Luka, but I never have an issue with Dame. He's a guy that always offers upside. But the rest of Portland, like I'm not in love with many other guys on Portland. Now that Dame is back, just feels like Simons, Grant, they both feel a little bit overpriced. Nurkic, I don't love this matchup against Gobert. He wasn't the best. He wasn't super productive on Saturday when these teams played. Also, his minutes were not the best either. So I don't love the spot for Nurkic. The rest of Portland, I'm not really that interested in. And then on the Minnesota side, still no Karl-Anthony Towns for Minnesota, obviously. So can expect a big role for Anthony Edwards, for D'Angelo Russell, for Rudy Gobert. Edwards is 9,400. Don't love that price tag on Edwards, but he's been good in the games without Cat as of late. He's been productive, but again, the price tag's just gotten to a point where he doesn't really stand out anymore. Russell, I think at 7,500 is still okay. He's been pretty good without Cat. His floor's been solid. Really hasn't shown much of a ceiling, but he's probably going to get you 35, 40 DK points, which at 7,500 is okay, but that's really that's not going to win you a GPP. Favorite play for Minnesota is probably Rudy Gobert. I think Gobert at 7,200 still looks really appealing. The first 2 games without Cat, Gobert was not great. Memphis game, wasn't productive at all. The game against OKC, he got ejected. Well, the last 3 games, he's really started to produce at a high rate. 31 minutes against Indiana, 54 DK points. 37 minutes against Utah, 39 DK points. Last game in this matchup against Portland, 36 minutes, 47 DK points. I think Gobert at 7,200 probably overall is my favorite play from this game. I think he's a little bit too cheap here for the minutes he should get. His production should definitely be up without Karl-Anthony Towns. I think he's very likely to get a double-double here. We know Gobert can get defensive stats as well. So I do like him at 7,200. And I know Kyle Anderson has had some good games lately. He's going to continue to start in place of Cat. Wasn't the best the first few games without Cat, but the last 2 games he's been really good. 35, 39 minutes, 47, 32 Draftkings points. I'm still fine going to Anderson here. Wish he was a little bit cheaper, but I think 5,200, the price tag coming up might keep his ownership somewhat in check for GPPs. So, yeah, I think Kyle Anderson is definitely in play. I think him and Gobert probably looked like the best plays in this game overall. But that's it for this one. Let's go ahead and talk about the last game of the night, Boston and the Clippers. So, looking at this one, starting off on the Boston side, There's not much I like on Boston today. You got Tatum coming in at 11,100, which is pretty expensive for Jason Tatum, and I don't think that's a price tag I really want to get to. Tatum's someone you can sprinkle into your tournament lineups, but I'm not going to be prioritizing Tatum today. 9K for Jaylen Brown, not really going to be prioritizing Brown either at that salary. Marcus Smart's a guy that I really just don't ever play. I'm not super interested in him. Do want to mention the bigs, though. So, Boston's still going to be shorthanded at the center position. Al Horford, Robert Williams still out. So I'm assuming we will see Blake Griffin start at center. Blake Griffin has started at center the last 2 games, or last 3 games, I think. Blake Griffin at this point in his career is just not that good of a fantasy producer, but he should start and play like 24, 25 minutes. So like as a value play, he's not the worst value. Have a feeling there's going to be better value that opens up, but we'll have to wait and see. If we don't really get much value today, I would be fine playing Blake Griffin. Plus, it's, revenge game against the Clippers if you want to factor that in. Griffin's okay at 4K, but obviously, don't love it. And then on the other side with the Clippers, the Clippers right now, especially now that they're starting to get fully healthy again, they're just not a team I'm super interested in. Paul George is 9,200. He's been playing better lately. His production's definitely been up. Don't love this matchup against Boston, but we know Paul George has a big upside. I would put, a lot of those other guys we've talked about, like Luka and John Morant and Trae Young. I'd put those guys ahead of Paul George today, and I would rather get up to them if I could. And then Kawhi Leonard, still on a minutes restriction, so he's not really viable. John Wall at 5,900, don't love. Zubac's price tags come down. I could definitely see going to Zubac here. The matchup against Boston's not that bad, especially with Blake Griffin playing center. This is definitely a matchup that Zubac can have success in. His minutes were down last game. He only played 20 minutes, but most nights, Zubac's going to play like low to mid 30s minutes. And with the price tag coming down to 5,800, Zubac's probably like my favorite play in this game if I had to go to anyone. Surprisingly, I think him and Blake Griffin are the 2 guys I like most. I don't love much in this game, but I think those guys are viable. But yeah, that's really it. I just don't see much I like here. Didn't mention Grant Williams. He should play pretty good minutes. He played 31 last game, but Grant Williams just not the best per minute producer. So I'm not super interested in him, but he should start and play decent minutes, I think. So he's an okay value, but yeah, that's it for this game. It's really not much to like in this Celtics-Clippers game. So that'll do it, guys, for this 7-game Monday night slate. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, as always, appreciate you watching these DFS videos. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, if you are new to the channel and you have not checked out PrizePicks yet, PrizePicks is the sponsor of this video. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks. Use my promo code NOAH. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. Should have a PrizePicks video posted for NBA today. It'll probably go up sometime on Monday, kind of early Monday afternoon. So definitely check out the channel. Monday afternoon, I should have a video posted for PrizePicks. If you guys want to know some plays I like for today, you can check out that video. You can tell me in that video. But as always, guys, appreciate you watching. Best of luck on the slate. We will see you guys in the next video.